Thank you for coming to my first transit recording. So I'm kind of playing this by ear. I know what I would want to hear, so I'm going to tell you what's meaningful to me, and then y'all can give me feedback on what I should do differently or what you want to know more about. Now, I've been against me personally doing transit videos for the longest time because I don't necessarily believe that you should be trying to control your outcomes with, you know, prediction. And so I don't think of astrology as prediction the way I use it as much as I think of it as reading the weather, right? Reading patterns so that we know what weather, what season, our inclinations for timing based on what's right for us in the right timing and seasons, right? So I think of that as different somehow as predictive astrology. But I think both are trying to accomplish the same thing. And like most things, it's about perspective. Like, what are you doing it for? Are you doing astrology out of fear and a sense of being in control? Or are you doing it to have a greater ability to magnify the love that's being beamed upon the planet through you, right? And so that's kind of why I decided to do my take. I'm going to be focusing on Gene Keys as our transit date. So I'm not doing like moons and all that per se. Now, will I do new moon, full moon? Yes, I'm doing new moon, full moon, including this new moon in Cancer, even though I'm a little late. Um, because it's a good place to start because it's my birthday moon. It's my Gene Key 62. So it's right there in my wheelhouse. And I was like, why not start with my key, right? And key 62 will be in transit today and tomorrow. And how I want you to apply this, or I'm hoping that it will serve you, is by giving you a sense of timing around your marketing. So some of us don't want to just constantly be putting out like we're machines, right? And it doesn't feel authentic. And we don't feel like we're cutting through the noise if we're just constantly spitting out information and getting no cooperation or feedback, right? And so it can feel like being unseen, unheard. So how do we do things with a sense of timing that we are following what we feel we are wants to come through us, right? Instead of just kind of this automation that becomes, it feels disingenuous. It starts to feel, um, again, like speaking into the void if you don't have a sense of why you're doing it, right? And that's one of the great things I think about astrology is that it gives us a sense of connection to the greater all, the greater good, the timing of our earth, the timing of our stars, and planets. And so it just gives us a sense that we are on purpose. And if you know more about your astrology, the more you feel on purpose when you're following the dictates of your timing and your archetypes, you know? And I think that's something that you always want to come with your own story with. That's something that Richard Wright would and make sure that I spoke about, which is that it's not about the archetype as much as it's about how you recognize the experience playing out in your life. And so your life in business is how I want you to look at this. I look at marketing as a function of sharing our vision, our purpose, our full personalities and selves. And so when we get to incorporate our archetypes into it, we know that they're long-standing, they're life generated, and therefore life giving when we speak into our purpose and our vision. And so we're not just speaking into the void and or just adding to the noisy marketplace. We are sharing the light that we're here to share on the planet while we're here, right? And so it serves both the purposes, feeling like we're fulfilling our purpose and helping people to know how and where we can help them in their lives, right? Which is the point of business, how we serve. So those are the things that I want to make sure that we are focused on. Okay, it's a long way to say that, but hopefully I can shorten it up soon for you. And so today we're talking about a new moon in Cancer, which is an key 62. It's the shadow of intellect. It is the gift of precision. It is the city of impeccability. And it's one that I know well and good. Now, this is a key that everybody should, well, I could think is a good idea to know in your chart. It is your brand. So if you have a business, you should know your brand key. Like if nothing else, know your brand key, which is really your sun sign, right? And instead of 12, you have the 64. And so it is more precise. So as you can tell, I love the precision of the thing. And what does it mean? So the shadow is the usually the lower vibration version of your frequency and or archetype, depending how you see that. And then the gift is how it comes into fruition, how it comes into light, how it comes into the perspective that you know that you're on purpose or on and in rhythm of your archetype. And it shows up in the city when it's serving everyone. And so that can come through your own actions, but it actually is just happening because your energy frequency is on the planet. So you're already doing it. If you're wondering if you're accomplishing your purpose, the answer is yes, you are doing it right now. How do you get to know and enjoy the fact that you're on purpose? Is to know and enjoy knowing yourself better. So that's one of the reasons why we're here. So 62. In the shadow, for me, it plays out in over intellectualizing. Too many words. Am I talking too much? Am I telling you things that you didn't really care about? That's how you know that that's one of my shadow sides. I feel like often when I'm in my intellect, I'm over explaining. I'm trying to prove things through my knowledge. It's it's kind of the way I was brought up, school and books and intellectual, logical thinking being the reigning things of the day, at least in my household, is something that I gravitate towards because it was what I was good at. It's what I got praised for, right? But what I've noticed in my life is that if I'm only going by my intellect, if I'm only going by my logic, I confuse myself. And and how this plays out for me in my branding is that I confuse my audience, right? So that is something that I'm still on the line of, and I'm still working through, obviously. But as I've developed a brand strategy that I am hoping, you'll see the difference of when I unfold it out this year. So um, as it goes, it luckily, I've been on the track of knowing more of myself, knowing my purpose, following my intuition for a while. And so what you might see is that a lot of what I've been doing is going to look a lot like what I'm going to be doing. It's just going to be more cohesive, more clear, right? It's a lot of the same concepts, the same, I call them pillars. And one of the pillars that I think you should know is your brand key is one of your pillars, right? So when I'm living into my gift, when I recognize that I am living and serving in my purpose, I'm also using my intuition. I'm not just using what I know, what I've read, what history has taught me, but I am using my current present intuition and movement of energy that's running through me to apply as well. So I'm in my best self. I'm in my gift when I am doing things on the fly. And sometimes that's great. And sometimes I need a little structure to hold that together as well. So you'll see that even in this first video, like of that trying to live in that gift while respecting people's time is kind of the other side of that that usually comes out when you are living by the moment and intuition, right? So the city I find finds me, right, when I am consciously living into my gift, which is that I have the right words for the right amount of time, not too much, not too little, but enough to make an impact. And is it's magical when it happens. I've seen it happen like literally by the second during intro conversations and that type of thing, because if I leave it up to my body gives me a sense of impeccability, right? Of living into that intuition. And so that is something that you can gift your audience. Now, depending on your brand pillars, and so those are the things that you hold up as ideals that you're sharing with the world, that are important to you, your vision, and your business, right? And I love to use astrology to point that out and how it's showing up for you or how it wants to show up that you may want to align to. So if you want to have that conversation, come find me. But in the meantime, it's already there. It's the reason why you decided to go into business in the first place. What are your priorities? What are your ideals? And then how do you want to serve, or how will the service happen through you when you're on path, right? And so whatever that looks like is what I would consider what you want to market towards, in this time. So in this next couple of days, the the other side of how that plays out in our energies and our archetypes in the human design system is the other side of that channel is 17. So the key 17 is, I'm not going to remember, one second. The shadow of opinion, the gift of far-sightedness, and the city of omniscience. And what is so cool about this is that this is not too far from the programming partner for 62, which is also important. It's part of my incarnation cross with 62 as my sun sign. And it is, that shadow is intellect, so it's very much a mirror, and that's all programming partners are, mirrors, right? So to find the other side of this channel, to be in this sense of the same thing, what do we hold as our focal point, and does it create confusion or does it create insight, right? And so on the other side of this, you got the shadow of opinion, which comes from recognizing patterns and logicking your way to what is true, right? And as opposed to the gift, which is far-sightedness, which is heart-based. It's like, what does your heart understand and know is true, which gives you a vision, a far-sighted ability to move into the future. So the strength of the archetype, on both sides, what it's building is this pattern recognition, right? So being able to recognize when you're on a good cycle or a bad cycle, right? So to me, anything that would talk about how to recognize that somebody's ready to meet you, ready to see you, ready to get to know you and what you do, that when do they know they could use your services? That's what I think the focal point should be, today and tomorrow. So I feel like every time I move into one of these teaching experiences, this is really to teach me. This is something that I haven't been doing for myself that I want to do more of. And so as I help you guys kind of hone in to what you want to be focused on for the time periods, and like kind of how to start that content marketing system, right? Because there's other components. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about, maybe we'll do like little segments. Like the other components are like, what are the categories of marketing that help people to get to know you, your vision, and your purpose, so that again, they know how to find you when they need you and to talk about you for somebody who they know might need you, right? So this is exciting to me, because this to me is the difference between just, again, speaking into the void and talking for no reason, and actually living your purpose and serving, right? And letting that the marketing be part of just what's on the way to living your purpose. And the difference to me is that you're serving. Like, good marketing should be of service as well. It's just like a different version, right? It's not as personalized. It's not as compacted, maybe. And there's other kind of gifts that happen when we are able to condense and focus into the work that we do for others, right? And so that happens when people commit and they exchange, that value, and they do the work to show up into the service that you're offering, right? That's a wholly different thing than just kind of somebody coming by and being like, hey, have you ever thought about Gene Keys? Have you ever thought about marketing according to Gene Keys? Right? Like that's a wholly different thing because at that point, you're just offering the information to see if it is of service to people. And that's what marketing is, in my opinion. And the reason why I think it's important um, to market that way, specifically for brand, I call them the umbrella brands, which is probably more of a technical term. But what it basically means is that your brand is about who you are and your vision and what you want to share with the world. It's about the person. An umbrella brand is about the person or the idea of a company. Like Coca-Cola is kind of an umbrella brand because it covers Sprite and Dr. Pepper and I don't even know all the things underneath, right? It's like they consider that an umbrella brand, but there's a persona to the company, and that is the umbrella, right? And so what that does is that means that even though we have all these different kind of drinks and we may evolve into zero, right? Like because even though we have these evolutions and changes and our offerings may look different from time to time, our overall purpose, objective, and vision stays the same, and it's less confusing for our audience unless you kind of box up your thing into a niche and make it the one product or service to rule them all, which is how a lot of companies succeed, right? But it's also really boring for people like us, right? Like people who are multi passionate, who are constantly learning, lifelong learners, and they want that to be part of the process that they get to live with their clients, right? They don't want it to have to separate themselves outside of that service, right? And they want to be able to offer whatever is available, what's coming through them to be of service. And they don't want to lose people every time that package looks different, right? And eventually you get people that buy into the vision who are in it for the long haul, who are looking for the outcome that you're on purpose to serve in, right? And so you get friends and supporters and a community that is there for you through all the changes. And I think it's a beautiful way for a solopreneur to market. And I hope you join me in this journey. So this went a little long with a little explanations of why I find it important. I want to know from you, like, what's the difference to you between like noisy marketing and purpose driven business? And what do you like about one or the other, or not like about one or the other? And I'd love to hear from you and what else you want to hear from me as we move forward. I will talk to you guys later. Ta-ta for now.